Hey gamers, sports games are very popular if that's due to sports games already having a baked in audience or their ability to release the same game every year with just a different roster of people. But every so often a sports game tries to do something different, to be just a little bit different, and that is to add a story, a narratively driven campaign. Sometimes these stories don't make sense for people who know the sport, like how in F1's Breaking Point stories you can be fighting for a championship in a Haas. But if you are not as knowledgeable in the sport, maybe it's a great entry point for a possible new fan to start watching said sport. But when it comes to games like F1's Breaking Point or WWE's My Rise, it's hard to know if the story is good without the underlining support that the sport itself has. So I thought there'd be only one way to find out, and that is to find a narrative story in a sports game for a sport that I haven't really watched or don't know a lot about. And there is a perfect story for me to check out. That being Alex Hunter's The Journey in FIFA 17 through to 19. A story that I have played once before and have mentioned, as I believe a Breaking Point wouldn't exist without something like The Journey, especially once EA took over. And back when I played The Journey in FIFA 17, that was before I started looking at games more than just games, and also I don't watch football. I don't think I've seen a total of more than 2 full games of football in my life. Once when a girl I was talking to invited me to see a Perth Glory game against the Wellington Phoenix, and the other being the 2022 World Cup Finals, which I was a part of a watch party for. Which it's not fun when by the end of the game it's you sitting there sober as all of your friends are drunk yelling at a TV. But apart from those 2 times and random highlights, I don't really know much about football, and all I know about FIFA is this Journey story, which I played probably way back in 2018 at this point, and I don't remember anything of it. So let's check out The Journey. But as the game is loading here, let's just take a quick second for me to cover the game itself before playing the story. So FIFA 17 looks like a game from 2016, which isn't a bad thing, isn't a good thing. Graphics just look generic for the time. Honestly, they still look okay now. And it even managed to avoid something that WWE's My Rise stories did not. And that being the character made for the story having different quality faces from the other athletes in the story. But maybe that's because EA couldn't or could face scan all the footballers, and then maybe they were also able to face scan the actors who played Alex Hunter and all the custom created athletes for the game. But that's one thing that always got me about the WWE games, is like your custom character looks just fake. Okay, yes, they're all fake, but he looks fake compared to the other wrestlers in the story. But that's here or there. It's nice that they got them to all look the same. Who knows, maybe it will fall apart in future FIFAs we talk about, as there are 2 others, The Journeys, to talk about. There was, however, 2 major issues I had with the game. The first being difficulty. Now, as I know almost nothing about football, I don't normally play the FIFA games and I'm not good at them, which makes sense. But the problem I seem to have is that I was stuck between 2 difficulties, which with the lower one I would spend most of my time being able to easily win the ball and just running past everyone and gain easy goals, and the other one being so hard that I could barely make a clean pass, let alone score a goal. So I personally feel that I needed a difficulty between the 2. But then once again, that's just me. I just ended up switching between the 2 towards the end, probably spending most of my time on the easier one because, well, who doesn't want to be the next Ronaldo? And the final problem is not one that the game would have had on release, but does have now since FIFA or which it's now called EA Sports FC for licensing reasons, is a yearly release. The servers for FIFA 17, 18 and 19 are all shut down. Which is fine, you don't need online to play the journey. However, the games are no longer on sale on any digital stores. Now this could also be due to FIFA pulling their licensing with EA. But I feel this was an issue before then as well, and it just makes it hard that the Alex Hunter story is locked behind this arbitrarily difficult way to get the games. I do wonder if there's maybe a way EA could have released a whole story, like the whole story in a single game. Like none of the games or none of the journey needs internet to be able to work or connection to servers. So why not release a Alex Hunter game? They wouldn't really need to do much work, and we all know how EA loves money, and they could release more games for less work. Just like maybe some menu reworking to remove the FIFA logos and stuff. Well, actually, now that I think about it, there'll be a lot of FIFA logos to remove from the gameplay as well. But I kind of doubt that'd be hard to do anyways. And it's not like the games are unobtainable. I just had to buy copies from eBay, getting FIFA 17 on PC and the rest on PlayStation with backwards compatibility. God, don't we love backwards compatibility. But it looks like the game has finally loaded, so let's jump into FIFA 17 and the journey. First things first, the game has you pick a favourite club, so what I did was I looked at all the small pictures of the hometowns for every club and picked one that I liked the most. By the looks of where I picked the quaint ocean village of Bournemouth. As well, I live in Australia and everything here is coastal, so choosing a coastal club sort of made sense to me. Anyways, the game opens up with child Alex Hunter playing a football game at his local park, as his mum, dad and grandfather and a football scout watch him play, as his father, Harold Hunter, who was a Premier League footballer until an injury then a too quick return ending his career early. He then storms off after a bad call from the ref. Alex spots this as it slightly affects his game, as his grandfather joins his mother watching from the side. His grandfather, Jim Hunter, being a true legendary footballer from the 60s. Well, not true in the terms of real, but you know what I mean. Who has won everything in football apart from the FA Cup. But that is not important, at least at the moment, as we are given control of Child Hunter for the first time, where we kick the game-winning penalty, when the game then hits us with a fancy transition time jump forward to the exit trials, as Alex and his best friend Gareth Walker are fighting for their last chance to get noticed by a team. Playing against players who already have contracts with major teams, main one being Danny Williams, but they play their best throughout the trials, leaving it all on the pitch. After the trials, the Hunters are approached by Michael, who would later sign Alex to his sports star agency and get right to work in getting Alex and Gareth a contract to Bournemouth FC. Now here, once again, you had the choice to pick a different club from your favourite team. So say your favourite team could be Manchester United and you could play for Manchester City. That's probably a horrible example, but you know, but I thought, why would I pick a separate team from my favourite team? I guess you might pick a separate one because there's like, you get paid different amounts throughout. So say for Bournemouth, you're on a very low amount of money. I think it was like 1,200 if you're a starter. Then you would get paid a certain sum of money for every goal you scored. But money doesn't really have an advantage or do anything for you in the game apart from big number on transfer value make you seem better, I guess. But it's time as we meet with the manager's assistant. Once again, I don't know football. I don't know if he's a coach or what his position would be referred to as within the hierarchy. But we are then taken onto the training field for the first time, when we meet two players by the name of Gallows and Bernard, who I believe are not real footballers, but they just give Alex and Gareth a training session to work with, and are used throughout the game whenever the players need to say anything, which is one downside of the game. Apart from those 3-4 footballers, no one really has any lines, and also the manager of the club never says anything. They all talk through the coaching / manager assistant, Mr. Butler, which is crazy when you are basically going on a Premier League winning run and the manager won't even speak to you due to, I guess, you being a new player. But anyways, after getting signed, Alex and Gareth are on the way to America for some pre-season friendly games, where Bournemouth play against teams like PSG, Dortmund and Real Madrid, where Alex gets some game time in all three games.
Still got half an hour to go, and we're going to see now Alex Hunter.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. This game far from over. Just 1-0 up, and the manager clearly feeling he's trying to be positive, get young Alex on, try and get another couple of goals maybe.
And also scores large in all three games, getting a couple hat-tricks and man of the matches in every friendly he played.
Alex Hunter and Gareth Walker on the score sheet, and their first time that they've played with these senior players. Brilliant, Alex.
They couldn't have dreamed that he would have done any better.
But it's time to return to good old England for the Prem starting up, where after playing a couple games as a sub and also scoring many hat-tricks in those games, it turns out on the last day of the transfer window, Bournemouth have signed Harry Kane.
Remote. Michael, what do you think you're doing?
And with such a world-class player as Harry Kane joining our squad, we're confident we can push on from last season.
Harry, how does it feel to have signed?
Yeah, really excited. Buzzing to be here. It's a special day for me. Just can't wait.
That's what I'm doing here. Signed this morning.
Another striker.
They reckon they're going to start him up top next game.
They? Who've you been talking to?
I made a few calls on the way over. Don't get me wrong, it might just be gossip.
Come on, spit it out, Michael.
Well, they're planning on playing Gareth in behind him.
What?
Apparently he's a better fit for the system.
Now, as I mentioned, I don't know much about football, but I do know the name Harry Kane, which leads me to believe that a club like Bournemouth would never be able to sign him. But unfortunately, the signing of Kane is bad news for Hunter, as the team now has 3 strikers. And after training the next day, it is confirmed that the team is going to be playing Gareth Walker with Kane and keeping Hunter on the bench, claiming that they just don't think he is ready to be a Premier League starter, even though he scores a hat-trick in every match he's played and has never lost a game up until this point. But anyways, it's time to stay on the bench for a little longer. So Hunter rides the bench for a little longer, getting game time here and there, but nothing compared to his mate Gareth, who is starting to grow a little bit of his ego. And as the game lets you know, scoring is in Hunter's blood, which of course it is, and it was. But it turns out that not enough could be done to secure Hunter even a shot on the bench, as a couple months later he is called in to Mr. Butler's office and is given bad news.
Hunter, look, I want you to know we rate you very highly here.
Cheers. I feel like it's been going well, like I'm really settling into the team.
But we think it's time you went out on loan.
What? No. This is a mistake, Mr.
Hey,
Butler.
you don't get paid to second-guess the manager, lad. Look, you've been playing well, but now with our new big money signing, your chances are going to be limited.
Hunter is going out on loan, and not just going out on loan, but to a Championship League club, the division below the Premier League, which I had to look up for this video so I knew why he was kind of upset about it, where you are given a choice of 3 clubs to go out on loan to, where I ended up choosing Newcastle. mainly as I've heard of the team before and their kits remind me of the classic WWE ref shirts. Now, before we take the plane or bus ride up to Newcastle, there's a couple of aspects of the game I want to talk about now. Now, of course, I mentioned there's money, which does nothing, it just increases your value. There's also a follow account, this game's own version of its social media, which your social media standing, aka your followers, can be affected depending on how you act out on, not necessarily out on field, but during interviews and press conferences that you get to give, where everything basically comes down to three options. You have the fiery option, the cool option, and just your sort of more balanced approach. Now, obviously your fiery approach is your more egotistical sort of screw you, I could score these goals without the team, I don't need anyone sort of mentality. Where your cool one is, oh, it's okay, I just went out there and did what the manager told me to do. Or your balance, which obviously strings a line between those two. But obviously your fiery ones will grow your social media following, but will decrease your manager's liking towards you, which could lose you a spot on the starting team once you're on there. But when you score hat tricks every game, you can be as fiery as you like and it's never really going to get that low. The only time it could get that low is in another one of the game's aspects, training. Now, of course, to be a world-class footballer, Alex Hunter needs to train. Every week, the team hosts a training session where they will pick 2 tasks for you to do. Sometimes they give you a free session where you get to pick one of the generated tasks and you just go and do that. These tasks obviously improving your shooting, passing, defending, ball control and stuff like that. But you can either simulate these tasks, which will give you a low rating, or do them yourself where you have the chance of getting a higher rating, obviously F to A. And the higher rating you get, the more you progress towards being a starter for your team. However, if you do bad, you can lose a lot of reputation with your manager, getting you kicked off of the starting lot. And these training sessions also affect your character's rating. Now, everyone knows, I assume everyone knows because I know, and I never play FIFA apart from that one time when I played the Journey, but still, that players have ratings. You got your 88, your 99s, your best of the best. You gotta do your FIFA pack openings or whatever it is. These training sessions directly affect Alex's rating. Of course, he starts very low, but the more you train, the higher you can get that rating up to. And also, the higher you get your rating up to, you get a skill tree where you can perk into certain builds if you are being more of a striker or a goal creationist. And that's something that Alex will grow as he heads down to the Champions League, but up to Newcastle. Geography, yeah. But yeah, it's an okay system. It's probably the best you could do it. And I just thought I should mention that now, but the social media, once again, it doesn't really amount to much apart from you can see professional footballers, random audience members' thoughts on Alex's game. Sort of like the F1 feature where they have the exact same thing, but you have like F1 YouTubers who also tweet at you, which was pretty cool for the community. I don't know many FIFA YouTubers apart from the Sidemen, but they do not appear on the social media feed, so F1 better? I don't know. But anyways, the bus has pulled up at the Newcastle United Stadium. But before it pulled up at the stadium, his grandfather gave him a bit of a talking to before he left, where he convinced Alex that going up to Newcastle will help him improve his game significantly.
Moved in with these. What was that, 3? Or 4? Dad never built me that playroom.
Nah, well, life doesn't always give you what you want, does it?
They're letting me go, Granddad.
Well, yeah, they're letting you go on loan. David Beckham went out of Preston. It's the making of him. Come on, eat up there.
As Alex arrives up north. When arriving at the training grounds, Alex runs into one Danny Williams, who has been making a name for himself down in the Champions League, and seemingly has become a lot less ego-driven than when he was at the exit trials, where he introduces us to Dino, the manager of the team, and we get settled in to hopefully help Newcastle get back into the Premier League. And yes, I also had to look up the fact that if you win the Champions League, you get promoted into the Premier League, and the last couple teams in the Premier League get relegated. I'm learning. And also, in doing so, he will prove to Bournemouth that he is worth keeping on the team, and really leaving his mark in the first game Alex gets on the field in just after half time, where he proceeds to get a hat-trick and 5 assists, getting this performance being good enough for Newcastle to move Alex up to starter for the rest of his time in the Champions League, and for a Champions Cup match, where after that he never stops being a starter for Newcastle, playing a lot of games for them, with Alex and Danny's friendship growing as they also become an unstoppable duo in the third half for Newcastle. Never losing a single game, but barely losing a single goal. Once again, that lower difficulty thing really coming in clutch, where at the halfway point of the Champions League season, Bournemouth decides to recall Hunter. A bittersweet feeling for Alex as he is leaving the friends he has made, but is returning to the highest flight of English football, where it turns out a lot has changed in his absence, as Gareth has grown a larger ego than even before. Our first time basically talking to our childhood best friend since leaving for the Champions League, and he is storming out of the club and has been transferred, taking more money from Bournemouth's biggest rivals. But that works out well for Alex, as he is now starting in the Prem, making a large impact in his first game, and going on to become one of the best footballers in the world at only the age of 17, and only in his first season. Now, a lot of these games is just playing matches over and over again until you get a small cutscene between matches, which is fine. It's a FIFA game, and most people playing it want to play the football and not enjoy the story. Or maybe they also want to enjoy the story, but they also get more enjoyment out of playing the football than I did. But I feel that it would have been nice if there was an option to sub Alex Hunter off without the manager calling you off, because they barely do. They only do if you have an absolute stinker of a performance, like always being offside, always missing goals and all that. Like, you could be completely out of stamina, unable to sprint for more than 5 seconds, but they keep you on the field when seemingly having a completely fresh Harry Kane on the bench waiting. But I don't know, maybe they have to pay Harry more if he's on the pitch, so they make the kid they pay almost nothing run around. And I mean, scoring a hat-trick in every game, why would you change that up? But it just would be nice to maybe sub off occasionally. But what does change is Alex's living situation, as his manager Michael was able to get him a new apartment, and a very nice looking one, which I'll put it on screen here. I'm not from England, I don't know Bournemouth. I picked it because it looked like a quaint oceanside village. This apartment does not look like it's in a quaint oceanside village, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm pretty sure no matter what team you pick, you probably get the same looking apartment, but would it really have been that hard to just do a different picturescape? I don't know. But Jim does not like Michael at all, but the relationship even starts to grow, as during one visit to see Alec, Michael brings out a Jim Hunter trading card from his childhood. And with that, and seeing how much Michael is helping both Alex and his mother, they also grow closer, with Jim signing the card and returning it to Michael. Of course, this is happening between lots and lots of games of football. This is also the time where Alex gets some of those aforementioned sponsorships from getting bigger on Twitter, or X. No, it's definitely still Twitter here. Also, no one calls it X anyway, right? Now, Alex has been starting every game in the Prem for Bournemouth, but now it's on to the FA Cup. And Mr. Butler has informed Alex that for the first game of the FA Cup they are going to start Kane instead of him, as the FA Cup is a whole nother level of football. But he keeps getting his starts in the Prem. And if he keeps on impressing in the Prem, who knows, how scoring almost 6 goals a game at this point isn't impressive, but that may change. So Alex remains playing at his very best in the Premier League, even coming face to face with his best friend turned enemy Gareth Walker. When after the match where Alex Hunter absolutely curb stomps Gareth Walker, they even are able to have a little bit of a talk. That is until Danny Walker comes around to pick up Alex for some post-match food.
Oi, Alex. Hold up, mate. Catch up with you in a bit, yeah?
Well, I guess.
Nice game, mate. Really took it to us out there.
Cheers.
Look, back when I left, all that, contracts, money, media, all got to me.
Nah, man, it's all right. Life's mad, innit? I guess we're both just working it out.
I've got a company chasing after me at the minute. Wants me to model pants for them. Won't leave me alone.
Come on, let's make a move on to my stomach's eating itself.
Come in.
Hey, big star, Gareth Walker, shining so bright. I mean, I should have bought my sunglasses, sorry.
Which Gareth seems to get really annoyed at and storms off as Alex and Danny leave. Which is a friendship we get to see blossom even after Alex gets called back to Bournemouth. As Alex and Danny can be seen hanging out, even playing FIFA at Alex's apartment. But Alex has finally been trusted with a FA Cup match. And to prove the team right, Alex goes ahead and scores 7 goals in the FA Cup semi-finals. However, right before the FA Cup finals, the team is hit with some bad news as Bournemouth has just come short of winning the Premier League title, which this seems to hit Alex quite a bit until Jim once again becomes the voice of reason to remind Alex that this is not the end of the world, as how many 17-year-olds do you know that almost win the Premier League at their first time of trying? Which Mr. Jim Hunter, according to a Google search, there's at least 6 of them. But they were all with major clubs and not a team that is more likely to get relegated than to win the cup. So maybe Jim still has a point. But either way, Alex can't think about that too much as it's time to go and compete in the FA Cup finals, which just so happens to be against the team that Gareth Walker plays for. Which the final of the FA Cup being Bournemouth vs Southampton, which, as I mentioned many times, I don't know jack shit about football, but I have a feeling seeing these two teams in the FA Cup final is very, very unlikely. Hell, I might be wrong, but I kind of doubt that one. But anyways, it's FA Cup finals time, and like every other match, Alex goes out there and destroys them, scoring even more goals than normal just to prove how much of a better striker he is than Gareth. And with that, winning his team the FA Cup, being able to win the trophy that his grandfather Jim was never able to. See, I told you that would become important later. And after celebrating with the team, Alex leaves to go see Danny. However, as he exits the stadium, his father is there, who he hasn't seen since he was a kid. Not after he ran off after that football game, they still saw each other after that, but not much longer he left his son for America, only showing up after his son is famous. Interesting. But no time to think about that as Alex blows him off and goes to the home to hang out with his mother, grandfather, Danny, and of course Michael. Actually, Michael will not be there, I don't remember, oh no. Anyways, his mother, grandfather and Danny as they turn on the TV and it is announced that Alex Hunter is being looked at being chosen for the English national team. Which I feel he wouldn't have found this out on the TV, but I feel maybe Michael is not the best agent out there, as Alex found out about Harry Kane joining Bournemouth from the TV, I guess Michael is the one who told him to turn the TV on, but still I feel one of the team's main strikers, even though he hasn't had a start yet, should know that the team signed another striker at least a couple days before. But I guess transfer window, maybe it came down to the last minute. As I said, I don't know football, maybe that's how it usually works, I don't know. But after finding out Alex is going to possibly play for the national team, the game ends. With this year's chapter of Alex Hunter's journey has come to an end. But I guess we will just have to wait till next year's FIFA, that of course being FIFA 18, to see what happens. Hey, would you look what I just found? And that has been it, a non-football watcher, non-football fan checking out a FIFA story for, well, technically the second time, but I'm going to say the first time. But hey, I was young and stupid back then anyways when I first played the game, way back in 2018. And now I'm just stupid and no longer young. Anyways, I've been J10. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like. If you're still watching, maybe subscribe, maybe you liked it. If you didn't, let me know in the comments how I can improve, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.